All right, let's jump right in. We all hear about climate change, right? It's this huge global thing. But what if you could shrink it? What if you could take all those scary headlines and turn them into a real strategy for your own town, your own community? Well, today, we're going to show you how to do exactly that, using a really powerful tool that turns all that anxiety into actual, concrete action.
I mean, this is the big question, isn't it? You hear about ice caps melting thousands of miles away. You hear about these big international agreements. But what does that really mean for the coffee shop on your corner? Or, the local farm just outside of town? That connection can feel, it can feel like it's not there at all. It's just too abstract.
And if you've ever felt that way, you are definitely not alone. The scale of this problem is so massive, it's easy to just freeze up. It can feel so big that anything you or I could do would be just a drop in the ocean. But what if? What if we're just looking at the problem from the wrong angle?
To find that new angle, we're going to head down to Rocha in Uruguay. See, a group of people there, local entrepreneurs, they decided to stop looking up at this giant global issue and start looking around at their own community. And out of that, they created something called PermaServe.
The name alone is pretty cool. It's a mix of permaculture, which is this whole design philosophy for creating systems that are self-sufficient and sustainable, and Sur, which is just the Spanish word for south. So what's their goal? To find real, tangible, local solutions that can build a more resilient future right there at home.
So to get everybody on the same page, they came up with this brilliantly simple tool. They call it the Climate Impact Matrix. Now, don't worry, this is not some super complex scientific model you need a PhD to understand. It's more like a framework for a good conversation. It's designed to make these huge abstract threats feel incredibly real and personal. And the real beauty of it is just how simple it is. You literally build it in 2 steps. First, you figure out the specific climate impacts that are actually expected in your area, not the whole world's, just yours. Second, you list out the key players in your local economy, the businesses, the institutions, you name it. That's it. That's the setup. So this is what that framework looks like. You can see for Rocha, they put their local climate impacts right across the top. Rising sea levels, stronger droughts, heat waves, you get the idea. And then down the side, you have the local businesses. Now, the grid is empty, but the magic, the real magic happens when you start to fill in those boxes and connect the dots. And this is where it gets really interesting, because this is where the whole thing just flips the script. The PermaServe group, they didn't just fill these boxes with all the bad news. No. For every single box, they asked 2 simple but really powerful questions. What's the risk here? And where's the hidden opportunity?
So let's take their local hotel, for example. Okay, the risks are pretty obvious, right? Rising sea levels could damage the property. Heat waves make guests uncomfortable. But look at the other side of the coin. That risk of heat waves, it creates a new demand for cool indoor or shaded activities. The threat of water shortages, well, that creates an opportunity to invest in water-saving tech that you can then market to your guests. All of a sudden, the threat itself is actually driving innovation.
Okay, let's try another one. Apply that exact same thinking to the local farm. A stronger drought, yeah, that's a huge risk. It could mean crop failure. But what's the opportunity? What if you could be the first farm in the area to pivot to new, really interesting drought-resistant crops? Could you even create a whole new premium brand around food that's designed for a changing world?
Or think about adventure tourism. Beach erosion is a massive threat if you run a surf school. But what if you designed a brand new eco-tour that was all about how the coast is changing? You could actually guide people through the ecosystem as it adapts. The problem itself becomes the product. How cool is that?
And that right there gets to the real secret of this whole matrix. It's like this quote says, the value isn't just in the final answers you write down. It's in the focused, proactive conversations it starts. The finished chart is great, but it's just a piece of paper. The real power is in the process. It's about getting everyone in a room, talking honestly about shared risks and, even more importantly, shared opportunities. Which brings us to maybe the most important point of all. This whole framework, it's not some special thing that only works in Rocha, Uruguay. It's a blueprint. It can work anywhere. It's for any community, any town that wants to trade that feeling of anxiety for a feeling of action. You could literally do this for your own town.
So why does something so simple work so well? Well, because it takes that giant, abstract threat and makes it personal. It makes it about your hotel, your farm. It forces you to systematically look for those hidden opportunities. It transforms that feeling of being frozen, of paralysis, into a real strategic plan. And, like we saw in Rosha, maybe the most important thing is that it empowers local people to actually take control of their own future.
So I'll leave you with the exact same question they started with in Racha. Think about where you live, your community. What are the specific climate risks? And what are the hidden opportunities? What threats could you turn into brand new innovations? The answers, they're probably waiting to be discovered, right in your own backyard. Thanks for joining this explainer.